Yo, what up, y'all? It's another episode of No Cap Just Facts. I'm your boy Vic.
It's your boy T.
It's your lady Tiara. Today we've got a returning guest who always brings really smart, clear thinking about how people's minds work. He studies psychology at Columbia University. He's a researcher and writer who focuses on why we believe what we believe, how politics influence us, and how our brains shape the way we see politics and culture. He also co-hosts the podcast, The Discourse Lab. Anthony breaks down tricky topics in a straightforward way on Instagram and his Substack. He's been honest about his own experiences moving through different ideological circles. This is his second time on the show, and we're pumped to pick up where we left off. Welcome back to No Cap Just Facts.
Anthony Rispo.
Thank you.
What up, brother?
So good to be back.
What's up?
Thank you.
Boy Ant back. How's it been though? How's it been since long hair
The last time I had that coat on with my whatever works sweatshirt set, and then it
came out of a band.
Yeah, and then it got cut off. Like one word got cut off. I think whatever got cut off, and it looked like it said hate works. So you can go back.
Yeah. When somebody mentioned that in the comments, I was losing it.
Me too.
Oh, man.
That's hilarious.
I was like, if only y'all knew.
So
man.
Counterproductive for someone who studies ideology.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Spreading like positivity.
Yeah.
And then it's like read the shirt. Like.
Yeah.
No, it's
but how's everything?
Good.
How's you been? How's the family?
Good. Everybody's good. And it's just been busy because, like, when I was here last time, I just graduated from my program. And so I guess, when was I here last? That was...
I think it was like 5 months ago or something like that, right?
Okay, so that was not that I just graduated, but I was closer to that moment in my life. And a lot has happened. Lots of opportunities.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
It's just very slow, but yeah. It's all slow, but it's good stuff, so. Yeah.
Okay, and so for everyone...
Slow motion better than no motion, I'll tell you that.
That's a fact. For everyone out there, what you graduated with?
So I went to Columbia for my degree in psychology, and the program is based... It's not just psychology, there's a heavy neuroscience component too. So I did a lot of coursework in neuroscience and behavior. And I'm looking into doing another degree in neuroscience, but I don't know. We'll see where the wind blows. So, not sure.
Also in Columbia?
No, somewhere around here, but not. I'm not sure yet. But
Like,
just have to see where the wind. Like I said, because I'm doing my own research, and doing that is like doing your own program. So we'll have to see. It also depends on like the professors for graduate school. You have to really find the right lab to do your work. To do your research, it has to. All these different professors have different labs and different topics, and
they gotta align with what you're trying to do.
Yeah, you kind of have to find the right fit.
Right.
Which professor has a lab that looks like the work you're doing, and if there's nobody there, it doesn't really make sense to go entirely as a psychology student. In the sciences, like you have to like get practice working in a lab. So, if there are a few options, but we'll see. That's kind of where I am right now. So,
okay.
Yeah.
That's
Congratulations on all your endeavors coming up. Absolutely.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
My boy working hard.
Yeah.
As you should, man. We clap it up for him.
Absolutely.
For sure. You gotta do it one more time. Well, this is the next
Love it.
Definitely. And it's been, like you said, it's been what, 5 or 6 months since the last time you've been here.
A lot has happened.
A lot has been happening. The climate has changed.
Definitely eventful.
In different ways.
The climate has changed. Don't tell it to AOC.
Right.
Yeah, she's not the only one that needs to know it, but the climate definitely has, it's shifting now. It's like everyone's waking up.
Yeah, you noticed that, huh?
Yeah. A lot has happened, according to Ilham Omar, too, because Apparently, we missed like
World
how
War
many? How
11?
many?
Yeah.
How many World
Oh,
Wars?
World War 11. I know. Yeah. Gosh,
yeah, she's
that was
wild for that one.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
something. I know. It's pretty amazing. I missed all those.
This is too funny. For
But
me,
what you
man.
think? Well, what's the phenomenon of people now? Waking up. Now it's like people, they really not into the whole ideology of the whole transgender thing and
Yeah.
things like that, and like women playing men's sports, and it's a lot of these things are going to the Supreme Court and it's been shut down. Been getting shut down.
Oh yeah, like the Voting Rights Act case, the yesterday's Virginia ruling.
Yeah.
I think that when people are met with consistent backlash, when they put forward ideas that they're so passionate about and they contest the other side so passionately without any substance, without anything of substance to argue about, but only just like all they're doing is really just screaming at the moon and finding all these different ways to have a gotcha moment. At some point, it gets fatiguing and boring, to use a word from today.
No,
it gets boring, and I think people just slowly start to see what's behind the veil. And like, for instance, I'll use yesterday as an example. It was very simple what the Virginia Supreme Court did. Very simple. There's no strings attached. Like, literally, Virginia changed its constitution in 2020 so that they didn't have any gerrymandering going on. Both Democrats and Republicans, they were like, yeah, let's get rid of this. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm correct in saying it's like the only state in the union that was that distinct about that. And because it's not illegal to redistrict.
Yeah, because it depends on the people.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not illegal, but they made it illegal in 2020, and then because it didn't work in their favor, now they wanted to amend that, but they missed the deadline. Like, people started to vote already, and so they tried to do a constitutional amendment after people started to vote, and the Supreme Court was like, "You're skipping a lot of the process, so no."
Yeah,
but
they
then
already started voting too.
Yeah, but then Gavin Newsom was like, of course he comes out with, this is against the will of the people. This is MAGA, essentially saying that MAGA is rigging the election. Right. It's like, dude, it has, when people say stuff, when leaders like him, who are apparently the front runner, and you tell people, no, actually, this is actually what happened. And then you hear buffoons like him making shit up.
Right, trying to spin
that
it.
dissonance, like, there are people who will wake up, who will say, that doesn't make sense. Because if you're just going to, like, when it's so clear, like, it is just so procedurally clear that there was no animus, there was no hostility to what the Supreme Court did. They literally said, you guys just missed a deadline.
Right.
Like, we're not saying you can't do that. First of all, you created the bed.
Right.
You changed the Constitution in 2020.
Literally.
And so yeah, I mean, and with the Voting Rights Act, like, people making it completely about race, forgetting that race and party do tend to correlate very strongly because black voters historically voted for Democrats. So it's hard to disentangle that. And so it's easy to say, oh, it's racist, when in fact, in certain cases, it has been racist for sure. Gerrymandering has been used in that way. But when you have a pool of, black voters in a state that you can say, okay, we have enough voters here where we can make this a district. But then you have like another situation where you're trying to make that happen a second time. They're called majority-minority districts. And you're just, trying to make another majority-minority district, just kind of finagling, I don't know how you do that, but they've gotten caught trying to do that. And they're like, you actually can't do that because now you're using race as a means to create a district. And that's against the law.
So when you say that, are you saying like they split one district into two?
Yeah, I think this was in Louisiana. This was Louisiana, and I'm not entirely sure of the full picture, but I do know that I think it was section. I don't know, it was section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, something about, if you have a district that's majority minority, and the basis of forming that district is numerically, statistically, like, you should have it because you have enough representation to form a district.
Right.
And I think, and this is where I'm not so sure, and listeners will have to look this up, But I think, or we can look it up, I don't know. The other issue of the other district in Louisiana was that it probably would be better if you do look it up, actually. It was just they were trying to make another district based on race. And the court said, the Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that based on the law.
Louisiana?
In Louisiana. Yeah.
I don't even know if I spelled that right. But
No, it'll correct it, yeah. So let's see.
As of May, Louisiana is in the process of redrawing its congressional districts following a Supreme Court ruling that struck down the 2024 map for being an unconstitutional racial gerrymander.
Mm-hmm.
Lawmakers are reviewing new proposals to replace the previous map, which had 2 majority black districts.
Right, and the Supreme Court ruling said, the 2024 map featuring 2 majority black districts was ruled unconstitutional on April 29th. And
so the new maps proposed is for four new map options are being debated to align with the court ruling, which may eliminate one or both majority black districts. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
Well, it depends on the situation. In the past, it's been with the way things were in the past, a blatantly bad thing, obviously. But what Democrats have done is they've tried to, in certain states, tried to squeeze another district out by redistricting, drawing the maps in a certain way where they force another majority-minority district that doesn't meet the Voting Rights Act standards, or it violates it, actually.
They just want one more person or more people in office so way they have more control.
Well, it's my belief, and I wonder what you all think, but I really think, and this is shared with some of my friends also that we talk about this, I think since the Johnson administration back in the 60s, I think the Democrats have used these districts or used minority votes to weaponize them.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Lyndon B. Johnson?
Yeah.
That's for sure.
To, and then use the compassion story as a moral weapon to convince, especially white liberal voters, especially white liberal women. I mean, this is not, I'm not being funny. I mean, it's kind of...
No, I know you're serious.
Yeah, it's 100%.
Yeah.
We see it.
Yeah. So, I mean, back to your question, or back to your statement question, yeah, I think people are opening their eyes because of these kinds of things. When you go deeper, and that's what I try to do in my videos, I try to go to the heart of things. I'm not a lawyer. I do psychology, but there's sort of a mix there. Like, you have to know how to reason through the bottom of an issue in psychology, because you're trying to get to the bottom of something. And the law is a similar enterprise. Like, you want to try to get to the bottom of what's going on functionally. So when you do that and you explain it to people and you try to do it in a simpler way, when you contrast that with what politicians like Newsom is doing, as Trump calls him, Newscum.
Yeah, he definitely earned that name.
Yeah. Then people, have dissonance, cognitive dissonance, and depending on
that preliminary state.
Yeah, exactly. And so depending on how good they are at regulating that experience emotionally, like, you have some people who are just flippant and they'll resort to their talking points, or you have people who are actually really thinking, this maybe there's something to this, and it's been happening consistently, so let me look at it, and then they change course.
Yeah.
What's the most? What you think out of all of the out of every section right now that you could say people are waking up? Which one you're seeing people wake up more on?
To be honest with you, and I'm gonna contradict myself from this morning, because I wrote a script that I'm gonna do a video on later about the Democrats and yesterday's court ruling. But I actually kind of feel like the communism, socialism thing. I think there are certain actors in the Democratic Party who are now starting to say, oops, we have something.
We pushed the bar too.
They're backpedaling a little
Can I
bit
curse?
now.
Like, is it?
Yeah.
They waited too fucking long though.
Yeah.
Like, and
sure.
they still don't have. They're not leading with an iron fist with it. They're not saying sit the fuck down.
Right.
You Hassan Piker dick.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
it's like, sorry.
We can go on. We can go on with that.
You have to be willing to, you know, when it comes to, okay, so it's like cancel culture. They're in a difficult spot because we've been getting on them about cancel culture. But fundamentally, you should be able to impose costs on a group, or not a group, but like people in a coalition like the Hassan Pikers and the certain populist types. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with populism. It's a reaction to desperation. But the Carlson types, the Candace Owen types, like, and we can get into them too. I don't know if you agree or disagree with them, or like partially and here and there. But like, the thing is, they're starting to like. Oh, what I was saying was, it's not cancel culture when you see something nefarious or dark or in bad faith encroaching on your space and really going to ruin your chances at winning an election or bringing people together, like those types I'd mentioned. It's not cancel culture when you're imposing a punishment and calling out something that's actually bad.
Yeah, it's showing your moral posture.
Right, exactly. Right. And it's different when you tell someone that you're an awful bigot for not using a pronoun. It's like, fuck you, I don't care. I'm not going to use that.
It's your opinion.
Right. Yeah. But when you have a whole group of people who are leading people astray down a rabbit hole of conspiratorial thinking and violence, I mean, it can't just be a tap on the wrist. You actually have to stand up to it.
Yeah, somebody has to be accountable.
Because it'll continue to happen.
Yeah, I mean,
if you don't, hold people accountable for their behavior, it continues on, and then that
progressively gets worse.
Yeah,
it does,
and then it's harder for the next party to come in and clean it up.
That's
to resolve matters.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, Donna Brazile was on Bill Maher last night, Friday, and John Fetterman, and also who's the congressman? He follows me. I feel him, but he has the patch.
It's looking like John Fetterman is about to turn Republican.
Yeah, they're ganging up on him.
If you look at John Fetterman in the Bill Maher episode, he's just like this. He's just like, I'm so tired of this.
But it's like he does have the swing state though.
Yeah,
he's part of the swing state.
He is.
So
But I mean, Donna Brazile, is that her name? I can't. She used to be the head of the DNC.
Yeah, Donna Brazile.
Brazile, she's
the one that cheated Bernie Sanders. Her and the white lady.
Which one? There's
Donna. I forgot her name.
I know who you're talking about. But it's
Debbie Waltz, I think.
Yeah. I think that's.
I know their name.
Deborah. Oh, I know who you mean. Deborah. Debbie W. Something. I saw her in the airport years ago. I was like. That's no. We were
the reason why Bernie Sanders.
We were in line, and I was like,
is that you? Yeah. Oh my gosh, no.
I mean, I'm not a Colin Allen or anything, but it was like, it was like,
what's that stench?
Yeah. But so I think it's the communist socialist thing. I think Mamdani has been a really good backdrop for.
He said Mamdani.
Did I say that? Mamdani? I guess it's a Freudian slip. Mamdani has been a good case study for how just badly. Okay, granted, the city's is not like to the ground right now, but he's meeting a lot of opposition from his own making.
100%.
So yeah,
he's not even living up to what he promised either.
No,
he's actually going against
everything.
Like literally,
it's gonna be fun to watch. Oops.
The fact that he has people going on these MTA buses checking to see if you scanned your Omni card.
Yeah, there was already an incident when the guys are like, I'm not going nowhere. He's like, you gotta get up. He's like, you're not a cop. I'm not going nowhere. You're not a police officer. And if you touch me, I'm gonna sue you. And it's like, oh, there it goes. It already started. Like,
how do you fuck with New Yorkers? Like, how do you does he even, he's not even from.
You're not gonna move me, bro.
No, right. He's gotten into the wrong, he got into the wrong business.
Yeah, honestly.
But you know what's so funny? Because you said, is he from here? He's not from New York.
I don't.
He's from Uganda.
He went to Bronx. He went to school in the Bronx and everything. I think it was like Bronx Science or something. He went.
Okay, so never mind.
He's from New York, okay, but there's a difference of being from New York and having that upbringing that your parents have money, and there's a upbringing of when your parents don't have money. His parents had money. You know, he wasn't shy about going out to Uganda and having parties.
I would say there's a difference between New York privileged.
No,
you get what I'm saying?
definitely.
Or
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
because then
He's under
there's
that category.
You
Yeah.
get what I'm saying?
I mean,
So-
there's always people in our block. I mean, in our neighborhood too, that their parents are also well along and they doing good too. So that's why I said it like that. But I know what you mean.
I feel you.
I know what you mean though.
No, I was just saying because there's like that just goes to show the clear distinction between Adams and Mamdani.
Definitely,
Someone
Yeah.
who was
definitely.
privileged and grew up and
Literally.
in New York, and someone who was raised in.
This
Yeah.
guy is
Yeah.
riding. This guy is riding
Yeah.
city bikes around the city, looking like he's the Joker.
He's touring.
Doofus. It's like
He's on tour.
overcompensation. Yeah, he's
That
on
was-
tour. It's overcompensation.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And this is actually an interesting thing in psychology. I mean, there's something called extrinsic versus intrinsic motivation, and it's basically an intrinsic motivation. Just to simplify it and say what it is, it's very intuitive. It's when you believe what you mean. You mean what you believe what you mean. It's something that's it's
Liars have that.
well, the extrinsic is with the so intrinsic's like internal. So you actually believe in what you're thinking. Like, I stand up for this. I believe in it. I'm motivated to do it because I care about it.
Right.
Extrinsic is when essentially you're saving face, like you're performing it.
Right.
And
okay.
people like the Mamdanis. And it's not all or nothing. I'm not saying that you're either one or the other, but he definitely leans into the extrinsic, because like when you see stuff like that, like someone performing virtue, especially New Yorkers, like, who the fuck is this guy? Like,
Right.
you can pick it up so quickly. It's like, I don't care if you're like from what you look like. It's a class thing. Like you're
number one bullshit guy.
Yeah, it's like when I went to Columbia, like you see lots of people who look like him or look like me or look whiter, darker, whatever. There's an attitude if you're from a different class. Now, I'm not trying to spare myself. I went later in life and I don't come from money, but I was around, I have quite a lot of student loans. but I was around it, and you see that attitude just everywhere. And it's just,
it's entitlement.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it's an entitlement attitude, and some people harness it well. A lot of people don't, because they were never taught to, integrate socially with others.
No, of course, that's because the people who raised them were also socially awkward.
Yeah,
and those are bad habits that kind of just trickle down most
Right.
times. Yeah, it becomes like blinding. You don't even notice it because it's so second nature.
yeah,
I feel like that's Mamdani, because it's
Yeah.
like he's just so much of I am people pleaser. You get what I'm saying? Like, he literally believes what he's saying. Like,
But no,
it's like,
but
bro-
see, is he a people pleaser if he's still not pleasing the people?
He's
bullshitting, man.
He's
He's the type of
bullshitting.
person that's saying like, look what I could do, instead of look what I have to do.
Yeah.
Look what I have to do.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
he's
you
like,
could do- you
oh,
could-
I'm benefiting you guys. I'm doing it for you.
Yeah,
like,
I can do this. I can
Right.
give you
I'm the
some buses.
people's man. But
Yeah.
in all reality, he goes home. He's like, fuck this.
Yeah.
and that's the external performance part of it. Yeah,
The
extrinsic. Yeah, that's and I mean, that's at least my theory on him. I think that him and people like him are performing often, often
absolutely.
performing. I mean,
Yeah,
it's-
that's the thing right now in New York, unfortunately. Like, I'm noticing that, like, when you've been around different, types of crowds, you can see through certain behavior and certain, like,
Yeah.
And I've noticed a lot of people perform. And after a while, like, I give it 60, 90 days, people are right back to who the fuck they
A good
are.
60, 90
Yeah, no,
days.
seriously.
I'll give you a
Because
good
people
60.
can't perform that long, like, because
No.
they have short attention
That's fact.
spans.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so they get bored with having to continue to be creative.
Right.
So they just go and spin it on the next person,
Yeah,
on the next victim.
I feel like mentally that fucks you up too. Like,
Yeah, it's like
'cause
mental
you have
gymnastics.
to
You have
keep
to
up
keep
with this whole
story. Yeah.
And they
So
get
like-
tired of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or something slips,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then you find and you
And
see
now
it,
they're caught.
and then some of them are so narcistic that when you bring it to their attention, then
They're
they
in
have
a
this
spiral.
How dare you tell
Yeah.
me about me?
Right.
Let me get you.
right. I'll get you, my pretty. Yeah.
So this kind
Exactly.
of goes into the first question, which was, why does everyone seem so stressed and anxious these days?
Oh, that's a $1 million question. Well, I
It
mean,
does have a lot to do with narcissism.
We
Yeah,
actually
that's
kind
true.
of tapped into
That's
it a little bit.
yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah.
you want to tell? So, like, yes, we did kind of.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I said that because everybody seems like, to me, everyone seems stressed and anxious because we're all surviving right now.
Yeah.
And one thing about New York, we were talking about how compact it is.
Yeah.
And when you're in this economy, when you're living under those conditions, everything becomes survival, and nothing is no longer a unit. Like, you know, group economics. Like even if it's not transactional, like, you know, just looking out for one another. Like now everyone minds their business. They don't want to get involved because like right now, the space everyone is in, everyone is struggling.
Yeah.
So people don't really have the time to, you know, be patient with someone else when they're going through their own thing.
Yeah,
And
they're more
you know
selfish
that,
now.
yeah, like there's a lack of humility nowadays. And I'm realizing it's the conditions.
And I don't say selfish by like, in a bad way. I'm just saying selfish by choice.
Self-preservation.
Yeah.
exactly.
They got
Like-
somewhere to go, or they got
Right.
family. Like,
Yeah, because we all got
and
things.
deal
That's
with
the
this.
thing. Everyone has something going on, and everyone is not as empathetic as we should be, because we're all next to each other, and there's no one's better
Right.
than the next, you know? So
Yeah.
I feel like people are stressed and anxious because we're not taught, well, let me not say I'm very transparent with where I am in life, but a lot of people, they're embarrassed to, you know, show their vulnerability, and that right there becomes a constant performative everyday
Yep.
thing, and people crack, you know, like
Yeah.
after a while people can't perform. There's something that's gonna you know, make it the feather that breaks the camel's back. Like,
yeah,
you know,
and the thing is, we co-regulate, meaning, you know, the way that we are able to deal with our own problems is by working through them, not only on our own but with each other.
yeah, absolutely.
It's co-regulation, and when that's stifled, now I'm not saying that, you know, we're going to be it should be a utopia where everyone on the streets like smiling at each
Right.
other and
Yeah,
saying,
or
hey,
kumbaya,
That's not
Yeah.
realistic.
no, especially in New York, and then
Right.
you add New York to it, and on top of it, all the things, all the
Yeah.
conditions that you said, and it becomes that much more enhanced of like a stressor. But really, just it's really hard to engage in acts of kindness that are useful for that co-regulation, because when the news and social media is always showing that there is someone else getting stabbed on the subway, that was a familiar platform,
We're
that-
desensitized.
right, where you like would normally go and you'd never think, oh my God, that actually happened where I go every day.
Yeah.
And when it's happening, recurring all the time, it's like you start to desensitize, but also withdraw a bit, and you start to feel suspicious about other people. You mentioned
Absolutely.
narcissism, and it's like narcissism and suspicion become sort of
Like a mental
your
illness, like
defense.
it's
Yeah,
like
a
a
defense.
paranoid. It creates like I don't want to not self-diagnose, but it creates like a schizophrenic
like a schizo
Paranoia.
episode. Like,
Right.
not to say that they are schizophrenic, but it creates that like intense
like a
paranoia,
paranoid,
yeah.
right, a paranoid reaction. And all that's normal to our condition. It's just to the extent that it's expressed really depends, like you're saying, on stress, a lot of it, and also people who are predisposed to those psychiatric illnesses. That's a
Right.
different topic, but like
Yeah.
a lot of stress over time can activate those symptoms.
Absolutely.
But going back to like why, I guess this question about, well, the main thing was, what was it? It was about
Why everyone's stressed. And
yeah.
anxious
So
these
so
days.
there's something called there's a sociologist by the name of Emil Durkheim back in the early 20th century, who came up with a set of ideas to talk about how society, you know, the function of society, against social health, if you want to just create a short version of it. And one of the terms he came up with is called anomie, which ANOMIE, and it's a state, it's an experience, a state of society, like kind of falling apart, where norms start to crumble, where there's really no sense of order.
like a total state of anarchy.
Yeah, just a state of like we don't have structure, order, and people. That's the experience. That's sort of like the sociological phenomenon, but there is a psychological experience to that, which is met with uncertainty. And when you feel uncertain, I always say like human psychology can really be distilled to the idea of, you know, how you deal with uncertainty, because there's going to be uncertainty, but how you deal with it. And when you don't have a society that can be a constant, just homeostasis and basically say, you know, give you a grounding and you can feel like things are okay. There's still order. Yeah, there's some chaos, but there's still order. When you don't really have that, or you perceive that it's not there, which is another topic that social media enhances, then you become really uncertain. Some people more than others, and then some people will then lean into the extremes and start to there's been studies on this where people who exist in this state of mind of uncertainty, they could start to advocate for like authoritarianism or agree with authoritarian impulses or have authoritarian impulses themselves, because that's the way that they deal with the uncertainty to control something. So because there's no control, they need to control.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's definitely hits on there with the economy right now. The uncertainty of the economy is why a lot of people are stressed.
A lot of people, but the funny, yes, and that does happen throughout history. But my question is, you know, why is it that there's a small fraction of the society that ends up becoming violent and noisy, whereas the rest of society is generally still in check and not being violent or anything like that? But I mean, we have seen society become chaotic, like in the French Revolution, the Russian Revolution, and Maoist China, and all these other instances. I'm not saying that doesn't happen at scale, but generally speaking, people who, like, of today, the factions, like the groups of people who are most noisy and violent
Disruptive.
Destructive, whether on social media or whatever, they are feeling uncertain, and that's what they're holding on to is something like they're controlling the narrative in replacement of what they feel is otherwise a lack of control. But not everybody's doing that, so it would be a more prominent thing if economic stress were the main thing.
You know what?
So yeah.
Can I chime in
Yeah.
on that? I also feel like where everyone is in their like everyone is in their head also. Like everyone is not as present as I want to say as it used to be, but when was it ever everyone really present?
Yeah.
But you know, I feel like when everyone is not present with each other, everyone is going off of their own like time frame in their mind.
Yeah.
And that it takes time for someone to even be aware to regulate their nervous system, for their brain to even, you know, catch up, for them to experience that.
That's a great point.
That clarity, you know. And I
point.
feel like a lot of people, when it takes time to regulate that and for it to connect and for it to then show. So if we're not aware, you know, back to the co-regulation, that's why I'm really saying this too, because if, like, let's say one of us sitting right here is going through something detrimental, but we're trying so hard to, you know, like put on the front and everything, it's gonna eventually rub off on me, because let's just say not that I want to make it about me or have like a guilty feeling or a shame, like, is it me? You know, like just that feeling. It's just natural. It's it's next to us. We're literally in alignment, you know, with that. So I feel like that also plays a part in why everyone is so stressed and anxious, because there's a very small few people who are even aware to work on those things, to seek professional help, to go educate themselves on it. And then if you're not picking up and moving fast enough with learning that and implementing that into your life, it gives other people too much time and space and opportunity to not align with that, because they're not seeing that often. It's not a lot of people around them that are within their alignment to give them that, not motivation, but for them to see, you know, lead by example.
Right.
If they don't see it, they don't believe that to be true, because
that's so true.
Their environment is not producing.
It's
that,
not practiced. Like you're not practicing.
Right.
And you're so right about that. If you take one individual who experiences a certain level of distress, and their sort of rumination or their reflexes get the better of them, they don't get the chance to, like, they don't experience the chance. They don't
even know it's available.
Yes, that's what they don't exactly. They don't have the chances available for them to pause and to regulate and to clear the mind. That, I think, was that way, that regulation is something that's bypassed. And I think, to your point, and correct me if I'm wrong, essentially we're distracted by so much stimulation that we're we're completely passing over that one moment that could actually help us widen the gap.
And then that's just talking about everyone as a whole. That's not introducing the drugs.
Right.
That's not introducing alcohol.
Yeah.
That's not introducing other hallucinogens that are, you know, deterring people's mind.
Exactly.
Distorting people's mind from
that
reality.
adds to that too.
You know, so it definitely takes time. And that causes everyone to be in disarray.
Yeah.
You know, so I definitely
such a good point. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was like really.
Yeah.
This is great questions.
I mean, this question is a good one too. Why do so many folks stay stuck in negative thinking?
Well, we kind of just answered that.
Yeah, there's also some people are more predisposed to that tendency. If you want to break it down to different levels, there is a biological component to some of this, but it's not set in stone. Obviously, you can train your brain to come out of ruminations. Neuroscience has shown that very well through cognitive reframing, like when you take a particular thought and you adjust the narrative, and it
becomes muscle memory.
Yeah. There's the thing is, like, we're narrative creatures. Our memories are a mixture of many different things coming together to create this one experience that we have in a flash of a moment when we're reminded of the past, let's say, but those memories are not fixed. They're always changing every time we experience them. And
come into terms with new information too. Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah.
Sorry not to cut you.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Then you feel like you're contradicting it, or like, I'm like,
it's
damn.
actually a word.
I really stood on
opposite.
this right now, and now I just found this piece of information.
It's
like we're human.
Yeah.
We got it.
Yeah.
It's like the opposite of deja vu. I forgot the name of it, but it's like when you constantly, it's not like you remember, but you force it so much that becomes the memory, and that's really what's forever.
So you force it to the point where it becomes like you sort of brainwash yourself.
Well, not me, but I'm
saying,
I know,
yeah,
you
generally,
but like, like you overthink something so much, and with new changing information, it starts to alter your memory of the situation.
Yeah.
So it's like, or it'll help you notice things that you never noticed before.
There's I wonder if you're talking about confabulation, or where your memories get confused, like, or you get
not sure, but it kind of sounds like that.
Yeah, it's like a false memory or something. Maybe it's not, I don't know, but getting on the topic of all of this is interesting, because for people who get stuck in rumination, this experience, how do I say, building away from, or building different modes of your experiences is very hard to do. Like, if you take an experience that causes rumination and you can't, you just get stuck in that loop, it's very hard for people like that to come out of that loop and to remap that thought.
Yeah.
But so some people are, but it's not impossible. Like what I'm saying, it's not impossible to reframe the thoughts and to then.
It's just like changing a habit.
It's like changing a habit. Yeah, exactly. But why are more people, or why are there a lot of people, or some people who get stuck?
Because I look at it as like, I look at it as a drug addict.
Yeah.
That is trying to get help, but at the end of the day, you don't want the help.
Right.
So how?
Well, you just want to cry victim.
Yeah. So it's like that.
Some people are like that for sure.
Yeah. So it's like, that's how I think about people that definitely are always negative. Like there's a cure for this.
You could do something.
Yeah,
Well,
there are people who really are stuck in this phase, in this particular world. Let's just be metaphorical. That are stuck in this state, and they're in real distress, and they want help. They actually go to get help to get out of these negative loops and cycles. But like, to your point, there are people who, and there's a term for this kind of narcissism, which is vulnerable narcissism, which is different from grandiose narcissism. Grandiose narcissism is sort of like the getting attention by, being all, it's more extroverted. Right. It's more, look at me, look what I can do. And vulnerable narcissism is taking your vulnerabilities, like taking your misfortunes, perhaps, or your psychological state of distress, and using that as a tool to garner sympathy
And
leverage it to get attention. And people get hooked into that, and they know that that works.
Yep.
So they use the victim mentality as an instrument, as a way to gain social reward. And then the weird thing about that, it's not weird, actually, it makes sense if you think about it. For the grandiose narcissist type, it's very hard for people to look at them and say, you're an asshole. Like, this guy.
Right. It's like a dead giveaway.
Yeah.
It's like,
but for the vulnerable type, who would say you're being annoying, or
who dare question them.
Somebody who is experiencing distress, but then it's, if you see that this person is consistently using this mode of operating,
it's like love bombing.
Yeah.
Someone who has like hemophilia, like someone because that's like preying on someone who has hemophilia, like someone who has the quick tendency to fall in love or to easily be gullible or naive. And it's like an easy victim at that point. So it's easy to control a narrative, like we were saying about back to everyone has a narrative.
It becomes such a really useful tool to control people, and it sucks because there are people who are really victims.
Yeah.
And they get meshed into that,
and they never come out of that loop.
Yeah.
And it's like they only attract that because people can see that. Like, it's like having a chink in your armor. Someone sees it, they know that you couldn't take that hit or something. And it's like, okay, now it's like you continue to be preyed on. You continue to be seeked out. Yeah. And it's like they never get to experience, like, a safe comp like that.
Well, do you guys think that that's what, just going back to the political thing, that politicians have done to...
Oh, yeah, they pull at your heartstrings.
100%. Yeah.
They pull at heartstrings.
Yeah,
that's
100%.
for sure.
They're going to tell you what you want to hear at first, and then at the end of the day, they're going to have to do whatever they got to do.
But, and also, it's interesting because, like, going back to the Johnson thing, that was a time when our demographic, when our racial tensions were really a truly very major problem, obviously. I mean, I don't think anybody can negate and I think any sensible person would look back and say, yeah, that was real, like a real thing. It's not to say that things are not real now, but I think those politicians, they used the vignette or the storyline of victimhood, a real victim situation, and exploited it. And now it's been this lingering thing where now you have these, to bring it back to race, but you have these liberals, leftists, whatever, in the party who, and I'm sort of repeating myself, but I think we're getting to the bottom of like maybe why this functionally happens, who not only like leverage that storyline, but they actually look at people, black and brown people, as like helpless. And then there are some people within that constituency who have like used that narrative also as the victim. So you have like all of this victimhood mentality being used in a way that actually starts to negate progress.
Yeah.
And
not only that, you have people that in that community that accepted that, and they'll listen to whatever you say after that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Once you pull on that heartstring, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, bro, you could get them to vote for anything.
And so I know you're interviewing me, but what do you guys? How do you guys think that could be broken, like that?
With action.
Yeah.
With action, because at this point, nobody wants to hear anything.
Damn real representative.
You have to show me, like, and you have to be outside
discernment.
with me. Oh, for sure.
You gotta see the bullshit from a mile away. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's a fact.
To be honest, like.
So I have a question. Everybody talks about mental health, but things doesn't seem to be getting better. Why do you think that is?
Oh, I have my ideas. I think that we have been taught to think about mental health in a very dysfunctional way.
Medical and all that.
Yeah.
You know, taking pills. And I feel that. I feel some type of way about that.
It's that, and it's also that you had a response to that, which was, I mean, I want to say all these things in my mind, there are parts of it that are understandable. When SSRIs came out, of course, one could argue that it was the pharmaceutical companies taking advantage, but there are some real functional.
People need that.
Yeah, there are some, but then now, I mean, the thing is, like, people need it, but there's been a huge, over the past few years, like papers upon papers saying that SSRIs actually do not deal with certain the pathways in the brain that affect depression. So it's like now we're taking pills that don't really help they help some kind of symptom, but it's kind of far relate. It's not. It's
like a placebo.
Yeah, it gives it a short term, cure.
A patch.
Yeah, it's not even doing the thing it's saying it's doing. There are some parts of the SSRIs that work metabolically, like it biologically, that maybe give.
It helps in other ways to get other things to function to try to boost what they're initially attacking.
Yeah, exactly. And it's understandable we're not going to find like a direct, cure for...
No, we can. Yeah. We can. And that goes back to holistic healing.
Oh, well, yeah.
And holistic medicine and stuff. But also I feel like sometimes people feel they're so far gone in their destruction that it makes no sense to turn around. Like J. Cole said, the good news is you came a long way. The bad news is you went the wrong way. So it's like, at what point do you try to stop to now correct it? Because that's like diabetes. Once your pancreas is done, there's no more pancreas. There's no,
you're
there's no
pre-diabetic. What can you do to?
You have to literally stop because prevention is better than cure. So I feel like, and to just also add on to what you said, I feel like when I said that we need those, I meant in the sense of we need the solution to heal our people, because SSRIs isn't great, but for someone who's not aware or doesn't, or who is ignorant to holistic healing, that may be the temporary fix they need for them momentarily. It may not work for everyone, but that I feel like people go based off of the medicine, the medicinal route they take is based off of their awareness and their what's the word? It's based off of their awareness and off of their oh my gosh, I can't think of the word. But basically it's like if you don't know better, if you know better, you'll do better. Right? And if you know that there's this kind of help out there to get that help, it's like it's by word of mouth. Like if you don't know, then you don't know. But that's why we have to be more forthcoming with our mental health, with where we are in our journey, where we are in our healing. Healing is not linear, but just being honest and upfront and transparent can help the next person to even, dang, I kind of have that problem too. Oh, what route did you take? Because I only heard this to be true. You know, like sometimes people don't even know that the option is, they don't even know what to ask for.
Well, a good example is, and first of all, I agree completely. Like you only have access to what you know about, and not to step all over SSRIs. I mean, there are things about us. There's a lot of research that's coming out showing that they can lead to neurological damage, and there's just a lot about it that scares me. But to your point, if you don't know, and you're going to grab for the thing that seems to have worked generally, and that's completely fair. And I also agree that the holistic approach is the best or the better option for prevention. There is something, you said something just at the end. Well, it's basically everything you've just said. I mean, so full disclosure, I went for a treatment in Queens called transcranial magnetic stimulation, short for, that's the long version. The short version is TMS. Okay. And it was in Jamaica, Queens.
Shout out to Queens. Queens get the money out.
And to Jamaica, Queens. It was a really great place. I can't remember the name of it, but I highly recommend anybody who's listening.
We'll definitely add it to the video.
Yeah, I'll give you the name. I highly recommend anybody and they're great with insurance. Pretty much any insurance takes it. Let me explain what it is. So it's 32 sessions. They put a cap on your head. I actually have a picture of myself. If you want to embarrass me, it's fine.
No, we don't never want to embarrass you.
For people who, seriously, like to your point, like to actually speak the experience.
Yeah.
I've always dealt with higher my baseline of anxiety has always been higher, and I sort of have this anxious depression thing where I'll get really anxious and it'll lead to like rumination and depressive episodes. That has calmed down a lot as I've gotten older. But this treatment, and I've been on SSRIs for like a year at one point and in therapy, in and out of therapy. But this one treatment, they put a cap on your head and they calibrate it to fit, you know, your head size and all that. And basically what it is there's a stimulation, like a buzz from a coil, like a copper coil, I guess it's like inside the thing. And it buzzes, it stimulates a direct stimulation from the coil into your brain. And it's completely safe. I've been researching, I mean, I don't do personal research on it, but I've been looking into it for like 2 years and it's totally safe, FDA approved. Even if people are skeptical of the FDA, like the research is abundant and the studies are very clear. It's not harmful.
Thank you for that.
It sends a signal into a part of the brain that's responsible for executive control, for
executive dysfunction. And
for like it's the governor of the brain that basically says to the other parts, like, you know, chill here, think about this here, slow down here, you know, cost benefit analysis kind of.
I think I might need that.
It balances your
mind.
Balances your brain, you know, and so anyway, like 32 sessions and 3 minutes each session. So I would go for like 4 sessions a day, like, you know, I went twice a week. So it helps with, it's really great for anxiety, great for depression. And also they're looking into OCD and ADHD. And this has a really good success rate. And there, you know, some people in the clinic actually also do what's it called, ketamine therapy.
Ooh,
yeah, I didn't do it
I've
because I'm like kind of nervous about that.
Yeah.
That's a fact. I've been looking into that, and I just been.
We're talking ketamine, the drug.
No,
Yeah.
okay. So there was this.
It's a small dose.
Yeah,
It's very minute,
Okay.
and basically it helps. It's for healing. It's like what he's saying with that. It was so long ago where I looked at it, but basically it's like very tiny dosages and you're there, you're safe. There's someone, you know, that checks in on you and you're like basically going through what you need to go through, but safely.
Literally, you're microdosing.
Yeah,
literally,
basically
you feel it still, but it's not to the point where you're going into a K-hole.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that?
Literally. Then that opens the door for ayahuasca
locked
and
in
all
one
of
room
them
and you're like going crazy.
Could you imagine? Yeah, I know. It's like they're like,
you're like, yo, he's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
He's on the K treatment.
Bernie, he's good. Yeah, he just looks like he's in a different dimension. But like, they induce this state, and you do this therapy, and you know, it makes your brain more adaptable to different, different information, and I mean, so the physiological therapies are very helpful because they're getting to the physical.
Yeah.
But I think also to the question about why, you know, about mental health, the problem is, and I'm going to plug my friend's book, Joe Nucci. He's a therapist. Maybe I did this last episode. He's a therapist here in the city, and his book is called Psychobabble.
Shout out to him.
Definitely.
And he talks about kind of a lot of the misconceptions in mental health and psychology, and you know, there's a sort of a therapy industrial complex he talks about sometimes, and a lot of therapists, you know, they make kind of difficult life events, they automatically like package that into trauma.
Yeah.
And a trauma it's not that people who go through adverse experiences are not experiencing a traumatic event, but a traumatic event is different from having a traumatic disorder, a trauma disorder.
Right.
Most people actually,
they don't know the difference.
And
sometimes they're overwhelmed and just overstimulated with life, and it seems more dramatic than it is.
Exactly.
But that's just because their emotions is heightened.
That's exactly right. And the thing is, because we're meaning-making creatures, and the brain, we're specifically able to make sense of over other mammals. Like we can do that. When we have an experience that's adversarial or difficult, we actually, the more we frame that as trauma after, you know, it happens, the more we believe that it's trauma.
Yeah.
And then we wear that as a badge. And the thing is, 90-something% of people, this has been studied and replicated numerous times. like upwards of 90% of people who experience a traumatic event do not develop PTSD.
Right.
Like single digits.
It's a bunch of self-diagnosing. going
Yeah.
on.
We're gonna jump into the next question, which is we see one thing on the street but hear something else on the line. Why do people ignore real life?
Wait.
That's a fact.
Going back to the issue of a mass psychosis. Oh gosh. Perception is so strong. I mean, social media is such a strong device, perception control device, and the media has always been that way, but social media is especially
It's like amplified.
amplifying it. So basically why do people there's something going on in real life but people kind of make it into something else, or is that kind of or am I making the question more
Basically.
complicated? Well, yeah, because like again, going back to being meaning making creatures, human beings are narrative, and when you have a held belief about something, you're always looking for information to confirm it. And so social media and the media offers that very quickly.
I would
Please.
not to cut you off, but I would also reference the whole what was it, this Lang guy when he was in front of Mamdani's protesting,
Yeah.
and they threw the bomb. Immediately CNN spinned it like the people throwing the bomb were like regular people from Pennsylvania, and then it's like you spinning this narrative like these people were good, but
that's the narrative. That's the narrative part,
right?
and
So,
that's
but clearly we saw what happened. You get what I'm saying? Like
people ignoring real life,
but yet
what's
they
happening.
still choose to lie about it.
Propaganda at its finest.
Well, that's it. That's it. I mean, so the propaganda is the narrative. Here's what you're supposed to believe, and when you have that held belief, whether it's from the propaganda or you're preconditioned to give in to storylines without investigating them, then your set point is to look for information that confirms that narrative. And so iteratively or incrementally over time, it becomes so much harder to break that narrative, especially collectively. So what's going on the street for real is not something that a person who's stuck on their phone or engaged with media all the time, when they're met with reality, it's going to feel like a different world.
And it actually goes back to like our last interview too, because I did ask you, do people care about the truth or being like right?
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You said they really just care about being right.
And the real question is, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? That matters.
I don't even know if I
worded
worded it right, but I know it was the question that I asked.
That was the.
It was right.
Yeah, I think people, a lot of people believe that the things they think they're right about. Well, let me reframe it. So, do people want to be truthful or right? Some people believe that the things they think are true are right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the hard part. It's like you can only meet someone
where they are
and how willing they are to
comprehend.
Yeah, to adjust their thoughts and their beliefs, exactly, their theory. And so if again, I mean, if anybody, for people listening, like really a lot of it comes down to, I think, something far more simpler than any big theory. It's that we are nervous systems that adapt and become comfortable because it's survival. Right. I mean, and the moment you encroach on that space or infringe or try to change somebody's comfort zone, it registers as a threat to the system.
Right. It takes them out of that lackadaisical mindset.
Yeah.
And where they were totally oblivious to everything that was going on because it didn't genuinely affect them.
Right.
Exactly. And you have bad actors who take advantage of that of that particular process that we experience, and they bank on it. They're like, okay, we live in uncertain times. there's a lot of desperation. There's a lot of people who are hooked into a narrative, and you have people who have dark personality traits who take advantage of that. I mean, that is a true thing.
Definitely.
And so, I mean, I think it's really hard people believe they're being truthful even when they're incorrect. And if they really wanted the truth, though, they would be flexible, mentally
they
flexible.
Would be, willing to change their mind. And
at least hear you out, right? Exactly.
Yeah. A lot of people, they become so focused on their perception of things, they don't realize, like, you're not right, you're not wrong either, but that's just not the mere fact of things.
It's not the whole story.
Sometimes when people know the truth, or when they come across the truth, that shows that's where it'll show whether they're ignorant or not, because at that point, are you willing to change with new information, or are you willing to stay mediocre and at that baseline to where and then outgrow that person?
And then, do you know the experience we have ourselves, like all of us, I'm sure, have had, where somebody disagrees with something that we okay, let's take the Michael Jackson thing, for instance. We were talking before the show. Right. If somebody were to shit talk Michael Jackson in a way that has already been talked about constantly, that has been, proven wrong, or at least contested.
Just alleged.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get, because it's so popular right now, I'm going to get, like, pissed off.
Yeah.
Because I have made that belief, or I have made my experience of Michael Jackson integrated into my moral orientation and how I identify myself. I identify with his, like, I wouldn't build a Neverland and invite, but I identify with his drive to heal the world.
Right.
I mean,
with his passion.
And
drive and passion. Right.
But do you think that, okay, so that sounds like more emotion than logic, because you're first of all, you're reacting. You're not listening to understand or to just listen. You're listening to respond, and you're listening to rebuttal.
Right.
So at that point, does it feel like, okay, this person, oh my gosh, I'm having like a brain freeze. The Michael Jackson thing. So you were saying,
so if I react, so I'm using myself as an example, because I don't want to just like create a random person, because we're all privy to, like, this all happens to us to some degree, but like if somebody were to, it doesn't have to be Michael Jackson, like if somebody were to say something against a held belief that I have, and they don't know it, like they don't know what my belief is, let's say, I will I'll have this visceral, like, emotional reaction, because I have learned, or I have incorporated that belief or that view into my identity.
And they don't know that experience. Oh, and that's what I was going to say. Yeah. So is that like a lack of emotional intelligence? Like, would you look at it
like when
as
somebody reacts based on...
just like only on that? Or do you feel like that person not... because there's emotional intelligence, like just, being able to even regulate those feelings without attacking a person.
Right.
With emotion versus logic. But do you think that's like... oh my gosh, I'm doing it again. I'm so sorry.
No, you're onto. I
think
wanna,
you see where I'm kind of going with this.
No,
and it's not coming out the way I'm trying to, like.
Is it emotional? Is it
a lack of emotional intelligence, or is it like I don't want to label it as like heightened sensitivity, because everyone, like, a person may not know your experience, so they're not coming with it with an emotional perception. They coming at it logically, and that often offends the other person, because they believe what Michael Jackson experienced, or if you had that kind of sympathetic feeling, like where you physically can feel that person's pain, like that's what I was saying. Like, is that a lack of emotional intelligence, or is that like highly, like, are you highly intelligent?
Well,
with your emotion,
okay, so it's not. I don't think it's. I think it's not. It's both, but neither. More neither, because we're like, the thing is, we're going to give empathy to the things we identify with most, and that's called selective empathy in the psychology literature, like groups have selective empathy. They retain and maintain a feeling of empathy for their group, their in group, where they don't give it to other groups.
Right.
It's like ghettos, like I don't want to say the Jewish community, but
any group really.
They have their own little.
You can measure this. You can completely. I actually do this with my research. You could literally measure an in-group's emotional resonance with their own group versus another group, and it's going to be
way different. Yeah.
And that's the thing is, like, people think, empathy is a universal mechanism that we have, but we don't offer it universally.
Right.
And so the person who comes at it from a logical, like, I think this, whatever the topic is, and then I'm in front of them, let's say, and I get upset. It's not necessarily, it depends on how it goes. Like, if I just get upset and I feel bent out of shape, that's kind of a normal reaction. But the extent to which it gets out of hand and I become, frenetic and crazy, I mean, that's you're talking a different situation. That's like out of proportion, as they usually say. Like, this was, you're bent out of shape, fine, but this is out of proportion. Yeah. But the mere fact that somebody feels one way about something, kind of disconnected from whatever they're saying emotionally, and then this person feels very emotional about it, it's just a difference in belief. And then, just to reiterate, the extent to which it becomes a problem with of emotional intelligence is how you recover from that. Yeah. So, like, if you're kind of going at it for a good hot minute or whatever, fine, but it's how you both co-regulate and come at it from a curious place.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And not from a biased standpoint.
Right.
Usually when you're emotional, you tend to be way more biased.
You fill in the blanks with your biases.
It's like you're easily you're easily enraged with rage bait. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like,
that's right.
So we got a good one. This last one. This is also good for our audience. Vic, you got this last one?
What's one simple mindset change that could actually help most people?
Oh, I think about this all the time, and
I think we actually asked something in that nature in the last one, but
it must have been good if you asked again.
It definitely was. It definitely was a good one.
Well, actually, this is a less. I'm kind of known for giving like really gooey. That's not a good word. You can keep that in for comic relief, but I will embarrass myself. I use a different phraseology for giving like sentimental is what I meant. Okay. Sort of like little bits of advice, but I'll give a practical one. A good change in mindset is that most of the world is not batshit like you see on social media. Right. And one way to understand that is through, I used to hate math. I used to do terribly at math, but I now love statistics. I struggle with it a bit, but it's a happy struggle. And one of the things that the numbers show is that there's something called a 90-9-1 principle or effect. And it's that when you take, and this is the shift that I think is important. Well, this is information that people can use for this mental shift. That you take the U.S. population, I don't know, it's like 340 million now, something like that. 75% of the U.S. population is on social media. 90% of that number are passive users of social media. They don't really post, they don't create the content, they're just passive users. 9% are pretty active and they're generating some content and they're contributing. 1%, those are the ones who are doing all the heavy lifting on socials and creating the content and the perception and this and that and manufacturing all the stories and narratives. When you then adjust that 75% of people who are on social media in America to 100%, now you adjust the numbers, less than 1% of people are doing all the noise, which means that most people aren't as noisy. They really aren't. And most people just want to kind of live a generally regular life. And the noise that you see on media, social media, is it's processed information. It's a processed narrative. So for anyone listening, like, it is frenetic, meaning chaotic and crazy out there, for sure. I mean, we see it. You can't deny that there are loony bins out there. Yeah. But when you account for the statistics and you account for, look, I mean, even with Colin Allen, who tried to take out the president, I'm not belittling the event, but like that same day, how many people were sadly shot by gun violence? You know, in
seriously.
every
Every
Chicago, or
not
cities.
attempts, actual, real situation.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that that we should
belittle it or anything.
I get what you're saying.
We're not belittling.
But when you put it into perspective, most people are not as crazy as the times feel.
Yeah.
So I mean that's not an easy one to accept because it doesn't again feel like that.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to just reconcile the fact that, you know, the average is usually the more basic and safer and more accurate place to think from. It's like most people are average, most things are average, and
so basically what you're seeing online and on the media is just magnified. And it's
stressing
not
you out more,
blown out of proportion,
right?
But for
it's
for
like
lack of better words,
and it's like a magnifying
right.
And then to add to that mind, so you have this statistic now, which anyone could look it up. It's 90-9-1 rule. I don't know.
I kind of like that. Though.
Yeah, and it shows up in different domains, too, different like economics, like all these different.
Right.
But once you understand that, I think it's important. Then going back to the beginning of the episode, I think as we talked about reframing how you think about things, like, then just kind of touch grass and like get on with your life to some degree more than you do.
Part.
It's like you gotta focus on your life and yourself,
Yes.
and not so much about what's going on out there all the time.
Right.
So
That was a
Yeah.
I like that.
Definitely
that was a
appreciate
great
that.
answer. Word. So yeah, man. We had Anthony Rispo come back, man. We love it, man. We love what
so
you're
favorite
doing.
psychologist.
We love what you're doing too, man.
And I just want to make sure I don't have my PhD in psychology, but
Not yet.
I do but I do know the behind the scenes of how this I do my own research, and I do know the behind the scenes of the academy. If I'm back when I come back, I'm inviting myself back.
We love that. Yes,
you're
please
always
come
welcome
back.
we can talk about that because that's
Okay.
that's a different beast. But
Huh?
yeah.
I'm down for that.
I'm excited.
Definitely.
Sure,
Yeah.
man.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, man. So yo, look. I don't know if y'all have anything more to ask him.
No, you're amazing.
Yeah.
You guys are too. You all are too.
Word.
Yeah.
All right, so if you guys like this content and found it informative, or if you just enjoyed watching it, just leave a like, subscribe, even comment. You know, whether if you agreed or disagreed, or you get what I'm saying. If you have some inputs or questions,
Yeah, definitely. Anthony, where they can find you at?
Yeah. Mostly Instagram, just at Anthony Rispo, just one word. And Discourse Lab is my podcast. So it's _Discourse Lab. And I'm on Substack too, but I'm mostly on Instagram. So I keep it simple.
Yeah, tap in with the Discourse Lab too, because those conversations are, you know, they're really in
feel
depth.
like
Yes,
I saw a few
definitely.
videos, but
They're
I
cool.
definitely have
Yeah.
to pick your brain a bit.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So yo, I'm your boy Vic.
It's your boy T
It's your lady Tiara.
and
We got
Anthony Rispo in the house.
Word, man. And we out of here.
Peace.
Bye.